The rhinos that live out there are actually in a tough place to see them right now, so we're going to keep going, see more of the mule deer out there, and we should have a better look at the rhinos on the way back on our safari.
Rhinoceros?
Also on our left side, look out there beyond the left end of the lake, in the back right corner there in the shade against the wall, some big black birds on the ground, some out in the sun too. Those are southern ground hornbills. You look closely, some of them have orange in their heads. Those are the adults. Ones without orange are the young hornbills, and the young ones stick around quite a while after they hatch to help their parents raise the next group of young ones, and that's really unusual behavior in birds. And speaking of African birds, look on the left side of the lake on our left side, big white birds out there, the big bills. These are great white pelicans from Africa. We just saw that American white pelican, which is our local type of pelican here in the inland parts of the county. And you look at the island there in the lake on our left side. We built the island as a safe place for the pelicans to build their nests away from the other animals they share their exhibit with. And that way the eggs and young won't accidentally get trampled on. Now, if you're interested in other safaris today at the park besides this one, for more information about those, just stop at the ticket booth across from our station. Now, back on this safari, with most tickets, except guest passes and education tickets, you can ride as many times as you'd like today, but you have to get off each time and come around back to the line. And our last trip today on the Africa Tram will be at 4:15, and that is a nice time to take it again, closer to sunset.
The animals are going to be active.
Across our right side, look up way ahead of us, way above us, on the hill, top of the hill there, the black and white striped animals up there are Grevy's zebras, and they are the largest of the different African zebra species. We may see them also on our right side once we pass through this gate ahead of us and pass the bushes beyond the gate.
What are zebras, Dad?
They're way above us on top of the hill there on our right side. And the Grevy's are endangered in the wild, so one of the ways to help them is by breeding them here at the park. Yeah, you can see them also on our right side once we pass these bushes on our right. Look up behind us a little bit on top of the hill. Big black and white striped animals. Now closer to us on our right side, look behind this pile of rocks in the middle of the exhibit. There's big black and white speckled birds there on the ground. And some of them have brown and white speckles. Those are all western Rappel's vultures. The ones with brown and white are the young vultures born this year. The black and white speckled birds are the adults. And we do breed the Rappel's vultures here at the park. We had 2 successful chicks raised by 2 pairs of parents this year. On our right side, folks, out ahead of us, look out there in the back middle of the exhibit, some small animals out there with the white underneath. They are Soemmerring's gazelle. Look at the baby Soemmerings there in the right side of the group there, much smaller than the adults. Now in gazelle, both sexes have horns. Males just have longer ones, but the female is a way to show off to them and intimidate each other, kind of like they're a sports car arrangement. Also, on our left side, folks, you can see those dark brown shaggy animals out there. A lot of them in the shade of trees. Those are Ellipsan waterbuck antelope, and that species, only the males have horns. They live in lush grassland forest areas of Africa near water, so usually there's a lot of food and water to go around, so the female waterbuck don't need horns to compete for those things with each other and the males. Now, folks, on our right side, look in the, there's a little tree there. And in the undershade of the tree, there's 2 gray warthogs sitting there. Those are 2 southern warthogs, a male and a female. Look right at the base of the tree. They're sitting in a little dirt ring around the tree there. Looks like rocks, but most rocks don't have tusks or ears. Those are 2 southern warthogs.
You keep knocking me.
On our left side, the dark mammals there in a group on the grass, just the right of the keeper truck, those are South African sable antelope. The sables, like the gazelle back there, both sexes have horns. Males, again, just have the longer ones. There's the adult male sable there on the right side of the group. Now he's got the longest horns. The young sable's all there in the middle of the group. They're much smaller, of course, much lighter brown than the big dark brown adults. And notice how the sables have arranged themselves out there. They're all looking in different directions. So if you think they're doing that because they just don't like each other, raise your hand. Okay, if you think they're doing that because they're looking around for danger for each other, raise your hand. Yeah, danger is correct. And basically, the more eyes, ears, and noses you have looking around, the lower the chance one of you will end up as somebody's meal in the wild. Also on our right side, to the left, to the right of that other keeper truck, big animals there in the grass. Those are Patterson's elands. In that species, both sexes have virtually identical horns. They live in a lot of dry areas in Africa where there isn't a lot of food and water to go around. So the female elands have exactly the same horns the males do, so they can compete with them on an equal basis for whatever food and water there is available. See some of the baby elands here, or very young ones. There's one of the young ones just crossing the road out there on the left side, trotting toward the center of the canyon, and to the rest of the group of young ones. And notice how all the young elands, folks, are in one group there. They're just behind that left-hand tree, just beyond the wall here. And the fact the young ones are in a group is not a coincidence. They naturally do that as an adaptation, so one or a few adults can look after all the kids. Basically, that's the eland child care center we're looking at down there. And elands, are the largest African antelope. You can see how, for example, they are much bigger than the Soemmerring's gazelle we saw earlier. And the Soemmerring's gazelle are by no means the smallest African antelope.
Let's get up here.
Rhinos.
Now, folks, ahead of us on our left side, big gray rhino there eating some hay the keepers have dropped off for her on the ground there. That is our adult female northern white rhino, Nola, right there, chomping away. And folks, she is a really special rhino. There's only 7 of her species of northern white rhinos now left on Earth.
Holy crap.
We have 2 at the park. There are 4 in Kenya, 1 in the Czech Republic. My folks more stock, you can stand up. 1 in the Czech Republic. So the main hope of her species are the 2 adult females and 2 adult males in Kenya. They actually showed some breeding activity last year, but so far no confirmed pregnancies. So the northern white rhinos are now almost certainly the most endangered large animals on Earth. And the reason they and almost all the rhino species on Earth are either endangered or critically endangered is due to poaching for their horns. That's because many human cultures believe that rhino horn has value as medicine, but really it's just the same material as our fingernails and our hair. To the right of Nola, folks, on our left side, the animals out there with the long horns, black and white faces, they are hempspike antelope. They're from the deserts in southern Africa. To the right of them, or actually between the 2 groups of hempspikes, some gray animals out there. Those are wildebeest antelope. You can see some of the young wildebeest all again in one group there. They're in the shade of that right-hand tree in the middle of the canyon, to the right of it. And again, all the young wildebeest together. That's the wildebeest child care center there. If you look closely, all the young wildebeest seem to be the same size. And whether it's here or in the wild, they're all born within about 2 weeks of each other. That's an adaptation the wildebeest have to have so many babies in so short a period that the predators can't possibly eat them all. And in the wild, the wildebeest live in herds upwards of several thousand animals. So that's a lot of babies in a very short period. Hard to miss the big, very tall animals here ahead of us on our left side. Across the way, these are Maasai giraffe. We have 5 young giraffes out here and 2 adult females in the group. And the Maasai are doing the best in the wild of the 9 different types of African giraffes, but they are still way down in numbers where they used to be less than 40,000 now in Africa. Now we have 2 giraffes really close to us on our left side ahead of us. They're eating leaves or trying to eat leaves off the pepper tree we're going to pass here. Also on our left side, look behind us a little bit, around that right-hand tree in the middle of the canyon, there's some big black animals. They are Cape buffalo. One of the young buffalo there to the left side of the tree, standing. Also an ostrich right across from our camp post on our left side. You can see her head sticking up beyond the fence here. That's an adult female.
Yeah, that's very pretty.
Now the Cape buffalo, the black animals out there, a little behind us around the right-hand tree out there, they are currently near threatened. They're actually currently threatened in the wild. So one of the ways to help them is by breeding them, and that's why we have the 3 young buffalo out there with the adults. So good look at an adult female giraffe here close to us, and I believe that's her 2-year-old daughter to the right of her. So it's a mom and her daughter close to us here.
Sit up, Isaiah. Sit up over here.
So on our left side, as you go up the hill, you might see the head of the ostrich just through the fence.
Cool if you're missing.
She's right to the left of the first corral we're about to pass. She's checking us out.
Oh, yep, right
That's
there.
a female. I can tell that. Well, you could tell that if we could see her feathers. She has brown feathers. And females send the nest during the day when that's a great camouflage color to have. Now, ostriches are not globally threatened in Africa, although they are regionally threatened now in some places due to poaching for their eggs and their feathers.
When you put your face in, sit down.
So our left side, look down below us, the bottom of the canyon there, the big animals in the shade of the trees, they are greater kudu antelope. And that species, again, only males have horns. They live in lush forest areas of Africa. And other species are only the males have horns. Ahead of us on our left side, these orange animals on the grass are going to be Uganda cob antelope. They live in lush forest and grassland areas. Now with the cob, there's some smaller animals that are tan and have the faint black stripes. Those are not cob. They are some red-fronted gazelles from the grasslands in northeast Africa.
What?
So we've seen several species of antelope where only the males have horns, but I don't want to give you the wrong impression. In Africa, about 2/3 of the antelope species, both sexes have horns. We've seen some of the 1/3 where only the males do. But one of the ones where we've also seen some few where both sexes have them, including the ones across the way on our left side out there on top of the grass. Those big animals out there are roan antelope, which are big grassland animals. And notice where the roans have put themselves out there. They are at the highest point they can get to. So if you think they're up there, because by being up there, they can see and hear and smell farther for danger approaching, raise your hand. Okay, we think they're up there because by being up there, it's actually a little bit cooler and breezier than farther down in the canyon, raise your hand. And actually in this case, both answers are correct. So everybody raise your hand was right. Good job, folks. Also, our right side, folks, look to the right side of the lake, more than the tan red-fronted gazelle out there. And on the island of the lake, folks, look at the back right corner of the island. There's that tree stump, and on the other side of the stump, there are two big birds there with the black necks and the yellow feathers on top of their heads. Those are a mated pair of West African crowned cranes, a female and a male. And crowned cranes, like all cranes, species around the world, will do courtship every day to maintain the pair bond with each other. As you can see, those two are pretty much inseparable. There's one of the cranes coming out on the back right side to the right of that tree stump. The other one's laying on the left side of it, with just its head visible. And the big white birds, the big bills, are our right side, folks. Those are all pink-backed pelicans from Africa. Our left side, some pinkbacks, as well as the great whites we saw earlier, and some Dalmatian pelicans from Eurasia. And also on our left side, you have on top of the hill we're going to go around again. These animals are the roan antelope. And if you look closely, you can see the roan antelope, just like the sable antelope we saw earlier, are all looking different directions to look out for any danger approaching.
How we doing better?
Good. Too slow.
Below us on our left side, folks, look at the feeder trough out there in the dirt road. Two big animals there with the big horns. Those are Ankole cattle from Uganda. The dark brown one is the young female. The light colored one on our side of the feeder trough is an adult male. The Ankoles are bred for those big horns they have, and they're different coat colors by the Ankole people in Uganda as status symbols and collector's items. And because they are semi-domestic animals being raised by humans, they are doing just fine in Africa. On our right side, folks, you can see some of the undeveloped part of the park. We keep just under half the park undeveloped. This kind of habitat is down to about a tenth of its original area here in Southern California. It's home to a lot of endangered species, like coastal cactus wrens, a type of bird. So we try to help them out by protecting their habitat. Now, we've seen a lot of antelope so far, but Africa does have one type of wild sheep native to it, and they're down below us on our left side, folks. Look in the shade of all three buildings down there on the left side of them. Also, out in the sun at the feeder trough in the middle, kind of back middle out there. And one in the far left side there, out in the sun. Also, some in the front right corner, too, in the shade of that big dark green tree. These are all Barbary red sheep. And they are currently not threatened at all in the wild, but it's likely in a few years they will become threatened due to poaching for the bighorns on the male sheep and also just poaching for meat from both sexes. And head to our left side, folks, back in the main exhibit, you can see some more of the big gray wildebeest out there, including some of the young ones in the shade of that tree.
They're all running, I guess.
Look. Yep. No, it's not a zebra, it's a...
Our left side, folks, these small animals on the grass
A giraffe.
with a black stripe on their side. These are South African springbok antelope. They are from the grasslands in southern Africa where they are afraid of cheetahs. To the right of that, the big camels, again, more of the Patterson elands we saw earlier from across the way. And here at the park, we actually started as a breeding facility for the Stand Eagle Zoo. In the more than 41 years since then, we've had over 12,000 mammals and over 8,000 birds born here. A lot of that success is due to our big open exhibits, which promote natural behavior from the animals. So folks, on our right side, look above us out there between the palm trees. You might have to stand up to see them on our right side. They're out there between the palm trees. The brown animals out there are the Barbary red deer. They're the only kind of deer native to Africa. Our adult male deer on the left side there showing off his nice antlers, over the females. And male deer grow antlers every year before breeding season as a way to show off the females and intimidate each other. Then they shed their antlers after breeding season and do it all again the following year. Now, the red deer are currently near threatened in the wild, so we do breed them, and they actually do live in the same mountains in northwest Africa as the red sheep back there, which are the Atlas Mountains in northwest Africa. Now, also on our right side, way out there, you can see against the skyline out there, some big white animals with long curving horns, a little bit ahead of us there. Actually, let's go forward so everybody can see them. Those are scimitar horned oryx antelope, and they're from the Sahara Desert in North Africa, so both sexes have identical horns because there's very little food and water to go around where they live. The oryx until recently were extinct in the wild due to poaching for their nice horns that both sexes have. We're one of several zoos helping them by breeding them in captivity and returning them back to the wild, and they're one of over 30 endangered species we have returned to the wild since our organization got going.
That's amazing.
The guy at the ranch, his name was Gordon.
Now, a lot of people come to the park and they ask us what else they can do to help wildlife besides supporting our efforts here. And one thing you can do at home is to fight global climate change by reducing the amount of the net amount of carbon dioxide you directly or indirectly put out. That is your carbon footprint. And one way to do that is simply to reduce, reuse, repair, and recycle everything you can. Because making new things out of raw materials takes way more energy than doing any one of those four things. And one of the ways we try to reduce our carbon footprint at the park is that we recycle more than 70% of the waste